This was the standard workhorse bomber of the Luftwaffe in World War II, presented a GPM kit, the Heinkel He111 H1 that I converted to a P2, also recolored. So, for my very first model, let's dig in. This kit can be had at GPM website, the Heinkel He111h6. It's kit number 180. It is 20 years old. Let's look at the plans. You see the overall layout of the plan. You see the plan and the forward section. And then details like the wing detail, the wheel well detail. Looking at the engine detail. It's pretty interesting. If you look, we're going to have to convert it to more accurate the P2. The dorsal gunner, the tail section. You see that rudder horn. See the detail for it. We're going to have fun with all these details. The landing gear, that's going to be fun. And here, the most accurate representation I could ever possibly make of KG 255. This is E33. You see the wing shade. So yeah, we're going to have fun with this one. I really enjoy doing it. Colors are accurate as I could manage. The most important thing in building this is a framework, especially the wing framework. It's almost equivalent of the Spitfire beautiful elliptical wings. So all I simply did at this scale was to double the card stock. I use 150 gram cardstock. So of course this would be 300. You see I'm cutting out. This is the rear spar to which the aileron and the flaps will be connected to. So we just finished cutting out all the other structural details. Yes, it is time consuming, but the beauty of this would be once you're finished, it produces a strong enough framework to handle the load for the size of the model. Forgive me for the different colors. You may notice the different time of days when I'm trying to record it on a cell phone. So let's put this thing together now. The wingtip. There you go. I really like how this comes together. It's really a decent construction. For a kit that's 20 years old, it's pretty good. Putting in the wing rib. So now and again, you'll probably see me using the super glue. Sometimes you don't see me show it, but pretty much for the majority of the work, I use super glue for the quick build function. Now this here, you see that base, that's where the spar will attach to the fuselage. So we have to make sure that channel is clear. And this is the wing rib root. You see I'm just making sure that channel is clear that we built. And then we put in the other ribs now. This is where the location of the wheel well and the engine nacelle will be. So we have to make sure we're careful with the construction right here. While building this for the very first time, I can tell you, I did this before at 133 scale, but at 172, it's fascinating. The care that you have to put in at this scale is something else. See, I'm there assembling the front. Despite its origins, despite the empire it represented, and yes, I use the word empire loosely, it is a unique machine in its own right. You see how I had to be careful right there? Make sure that you put the landing gear base in properly, accurately. So just make sure. And it's best at this point to use super glue to tack everything together. Like I was saying, despite the war machine it became, it's really a beautiful model. I think it's a first, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we are used to seeing the B29 with that front view where you can see everything through the pilot, bombardier, and co-pilot. I think these were the guys who I first saw with it. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. I hear now we're putting in the trailing edge spar. You notice the curve in it? That's what gave this wing its beautiful compound curve and elliptical look. So yes, we spent quite a bit of time building up the framework, but let me tell you, once you're finished with this, it's going to be a sight to behold. Now mind you putting this together at 133, hopefully you'll find it easier. So yeah, here we are with both sets after checking the plan to make sure we got the right and the left, and we're feeling pretty good. So now we're going to deal with the flap framework and after the aileron framework. So of course, forgive me for the out of focus camera. Again, remember this is a very first build I'm attempting. So respect to the author, the designer of this kit. Massive respect, because so far it's pretty accurate, yes? You see the flap is compound. We're checking again to just make sure we got the right thing down. We're putting in now the rib. Secure in place with super glue. Then putting in the spar for it. And then we complete it with the reinforcement at the front. And pretty much that's it. And seeing that this was my first build, I was eager to see what it looked like against the other frame. So look what I am doing here now. Testing it out. Even at that, it looks like something. The aileron is pretty much simple and straightforward. You cut according to what you see on the plan. But for me now, I use a straight edge rule so it doesn't warp or curve on me at this scale to just build it up. And once I got the framework, I just repeat the same for the other side. Nice. By the time it comes to doing the second one, it's pretty much easy. There you go. Good. So we have good looking wing framework. So the main wing panel. Time is taken to cut it out carefully. Right? At this point, you do not want to rush anything. Just take your time, cut and pop. So you see me showing all this is to show the length of time it took me to carefully cut out each segment. Nice. Here we go. So now that we've gotten everyone almost, we're going to be rolling the leading edge and check the fits. So that fits good. We get our paintbrush. We use the handle of our paintbrush to slowly roll it. That is how I do the leading edge. Then I use a fondant tool. It's a cake decorating tool. You can find the plastic. It's very cheap. And we compound. We roll. I use the skin to press the edges in so you get a compound look, yes? And we take our time to do series and then we are good. Now check this out. Once we're finished with this, it's time to paint. All right? So we mix the colors accurately for the gray, for the blue, for the green, for the dark brown. We paint all the edges. If I don't show this in the future, just know that every panel edge is painted. So now that we've done that, it's time to assemble. We apply glue. I start with a wingtip. We put glue there. We're going to cut the excess off. And then we're going to cut it into strips like you see here. Fold in. And then we're going to join the other half. Nice. Now when we're finished with this all together, we'll paint the edge of the joint. Now we're going to attach the lower panel to the upper panel. So we put our glue, and what I use for join is a simple bond strip of paper. Remember, at this scale I can do that. So yeah, make sure that the cross is aligned. I use a steel rule to make sure to keep it flat, and then we press in properly. Cut off any excess. Then we're going to glue strips on to attach the wingtip. Cut off any excess, and then we put our cuts along there. Then we're going to add our wingtip here. The beauty of it once we do this is that the edges we paint will almost blend in with the wing. So we're cutting the inner panel now for the wing. This is what we're going to join. Now notice where I'm making these cuts. Please pay attention because this will help facilitate the curve of the wing. Now we use our X-Acto knife to achieve that bend at the leading edge. Then we're going to join our panel. Make sure the things are aligned. Use the panel lines to try and make sure they're aligned. And check the underside there for alignment. And this alone shows you that it carries the curve. So it's good. Now we're going to cut out this area here for the wheel well. There you go. Lovely. And then our framework fits in nicely. So once we make sure everything fits, then we tack areas and we go carefully along till we get the whole wing tacked. And that's it. That's pretty much it. We repeat the same process for the other side. The aileron installation, it's nothing much. We just cut out the panel because it's a single sheet, fold it over, and then super glue the trailing edge. Use the steel rule to make sure we keep the trailing edge straight. No warp, no curve, nothing. We keep it straight. And we use the super glue because of its quick drying ability. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me here to build the He111. So until then, my friends, take care, walk good, and thanks for just tuning in. Be gentle to yourself, and above all, my friends, one love.